Chapter 2, Lily. My hands are still shaking even though it's been almost 2 hours since I ran into Atlas. I can't tell if I am shaking because I am flustered or because I've been too busy to eat since I walked in the door. I barely had 5 seconds of pieces to process what happened this morning, much less eat the breakfast I bought with me. Did that actually just happen? Did I really ask Atlas a series of questions so awkward? I'll be mortified well into next year. He didn't seem awkward, though he seemed very happy to see me. And then, when he hugged me, it felt like a part of me that had been dormant suddenly sprang onto life. But this is the first moment I have had to even take a bathroom break. And after looking to myself in the mirror just now, I kind of want to cry. I am splotchy. I have carrots shimmered across my shirt. My nail polish has been chipped since like January. Not that Atlas expects or wants perfection. It's just that I imagine running into him so many times, but not one of those fantasies started me bumping into him in the middle of hectic morning. Half an hour after being a target of an 11-month-old with a handful of baby food. He took a good, he looked so good. He smelled so good. I probably smelled like breast milk. I'm so rattled by what our chances encounters might mean. It took me twice or long to organize everything for delivering driver this morning. I haven't even checked our websites for new orders today. I give myself one last look in the mirror, but all I see is an exhausted, overworked single mom. I make my way out of the bathroom and back to the register. I pull an order from the printer and begin making out the cards. My mind has never been more in need of distraction, so I am glad it has been a busy morning. The order is for a bouquet of roses for someone named Greta from someone named Jonath. The message reads, I'm sorry about last night, forgive me. The groan apology flowers and are my least favorite kind of bouquets to assemble. I always end up obsessing over what they are apologizing for. Did he miss their dates? Did he come home late? Did they fight? Did he hit her? Sometimes I want to write the number for the local domestic violence center on the cards. But I have to remind myself that not every apology is attached to something as awful as the things that are attached to the apologies I used to receive. Maybe Jonathan is Greta's friend and he is trying to cheer her up. Maybe he is her husband and he took a prank a little too far. Whatever the reason for the flower, I hope they mean something good. I tuck the cards into the envelope, stick it into the bouquet of roses. I set them on the delivery shelf and I am pulling up the next order when I received a text. I lunge for my phone as if the text is about to do self distraction. And I only have 3 seconds to read it. I shrink when I look at the screen. It's not from Atlas, but rather from Ryle. Can she eat French fries? I shoot a quick response, soft ones. I dropped my phone onto the counter with thought. I don't like for her to have French fries too often, but trial only has her only 2 days a week. So I try to make sure she gets more nutrition food when she is with me. It was nice not thinking about trial for a few minutes, but his text has reminded me that he exists. And as long as he exists, I fear that any type of relationship, as even a friendship between me and Atlas, can't exist. How will Rael take it if I started seeing Atlas? And how he would he act if they ever had to be around each other? Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. I stare at my phone, wondered what I should say to Atlas. I told him I would text him after I opened the store. But customers are waiting before I even unlock the door. And now that Riley has texted, I've gone and remembered Riley exists in this scenario too, which makes me hesitant to text Atlas at all. The front door opens and my employee Lucy finally walks in. She always seems so put together even when I am telling she is in a bad mood. Good morning, Lucy. She flicks hair out of her eyes and sets her purse on the counter with a sigh. Is it? Lucy isn't at her friendliest in the morning. It's why my other employee Sharina or I usually work the register until at least 11. While Lucy puts arrangements together in the back, she must better with customers after a cup or five of coffees. I just found out our place cars never arrived because they are discontinued and it is too late to order more. That's wedding in less than a month. So much has gone wrong leading out to this wedding. I have half a mind to tell her not to go through with it. But I am not suspicious. Hopefully, she isn't either. Homemade place cards are in style, I offer. Lucy rolls her eyes. I hate crafting, she mutters. I don't even want a wedding now. It feels like we've been planning it for longer than we even dated. That's accurate. Maybe we'll just call it off and go to Vegas. You allowed, right? Do you regret it? I don't know which part of all that to address first. How can you hate crafting? You work at a flower shop and I am divorced. Of course, I regret eloping. I handed her a small stake of orders I haven't gotten to yet, but it was fun, I admit. Lucy goes to the back and starts on the rest of the orders, and I go back to thinking about Atlas and Ryle and Armageddon, which is what the two of them in my brain at the same time feels like. I have no idea how this is expected to work. When Atlas and I ran into each other, it was as if everything else faded away, including Ryle. But now Ryle is beginning to see back into my thoughts, not in the way thoughts of Ryle used to occupy my mind, but more in a way that feels like a road blocked. My love life has finally been on a straight path with no bumps or curves. Basically, because it's been non existence for well over an year and a half, but now it feels like there's nothing but rough terrain and obstacles and cliff ahead. Is it worth it? Of course, Atlas is worth it. But are we worth it? It's us potentially becoming a thing worth the stress it could inevitably bring to all the other areas of life. I haven't felt this conflicted in so long. Part of me wants to call Eliza and tell her about the seeing Atlas. But I can't. She knows how Ryle still feels about me. She knows how he'd feel if I brought Atlas into picture. I can't talk to my mother because she is my mother. As close as we've become lately, I'd still never freely discuss my dating life with her. There's really only one woman I feel comfortable talking to about Atlas, Lucy. She appeared from the back, pulling an earbud out of her ear. Do you need me? Can you cover me for a while? I need to go run an errand. I'll be back in an hour. She makes her way behind the counter and I grab my purse. Get a I don't get a lot of alone time now that I've been immersion. So I occasionally steal an hour here and there during the worksheet when I have someone to back up my absence in the shop. Sometimes I like to sit in thoughts. And it's impossible to do that in the presence of a child because even when she is asleep, I'm in mom's mood. And with the constant flow of traffic or work, it's rare that I can find a stretch of peace without being interrupted. I found that being alone in my car with my music on and occasionally a slice of dessert from the cheesecake factory is something all it takes to short through the knot in my brain. Once I am parked with a clear piece of Boston Harbor, I lean my seat back, grab the notepad and pen I brought with me. I don't know if it will help us much as desert sometimes does, but I need to release my thoughts in the some way I have done in the past. This method has helped before when I needed things to fall neatly into place, although this time I'm just hoping it has nothing not to fall completely apart. Dear Alan, guess who's back? Me. And at last, both of us, I ran into him on my way to way to meet Ryle with Emmy this morning. It was so good to see him, but as reaffirming as it was to see him, and I know where we both stand at this point in our lives. It ended a bit awkwardly. It was having a minor emergency with his restaurant and was in a hurry. I was late opening the store. We parted on the promise that we would text him, that I would text him. I wanted to text him. I do, especially because seeing him reminded me of how much I miss the feeling I get when I am around him. I didn't realize how lonely I'd been feeling until those few minutes with him this morning. But since Ryle and I divorced, oh, wait, wow, I haven't told you about the divorce. It's been a way too long since I have written to you. Let me back up. I decided my separation from Ryle should be permanent after giving birth to Amy. I asked him for a divorce right after she was born. I wasn't attempting to be cruel in my timing. I just didn't know which choice I was going to make until I held her in my arms and knew with every fiber of my being that I would be whatever it took to break the cycle of abuse. Yes, asking for a divorce hurt. Yes, it was heartbroken, but no, I don't regret it. My choice helped me realize that sometimes the hardest decision a person can make will mostly likely lead to the best outcomes. I can't lie and say I don't miss him because I do. I miss what we sometimes were. I miss the family we could have been for immersion. But I know I made the right decision even though I sometimes get overwhelmed by the weight of it. It's difficult because I still have to interact with Ryle. He still possesses all the good qualities I held in love with now, and that I am no longer in a relationship with him. It's rare I see the negative side that ultimately ended our marriage. I think that has to do with the fact that he is on his best behavior. He had to be agreeable and not put up too much of fight because he knew I could have reported him for all the incidents of domestic violence I experienced at his hand. He could have lost a lot more than his wife. So when it came to the custody arrangement, things were more amiable than I expected them to be. That may have been more because I put up less of a fight than he did. My lawyer was very straightforward when I said I wanted sole custody. Unless I was willing to drag the dirtiest part of a rock button into a courtroom, there wasn't much I could do to prevent the Ryle from getting visit with immersion. And even if I were to bring up the domestic violence, my lawyer said it's very rare that a willing, successful father without a record who provides financial support would have any sort of rights removed. I was looking at two options. I could choose to press charges and drag this through the court only to be met with a very possible joint custody arrangements, or I could attempt to work and agree with Ryle that would satisfy us both while preserving our co-parenting relationship. I guess you could say we came to a compromise even though there isn't any agreement in the world that would make me feel comfortable with sending my daughter off with someone I know possesses a temper. But all I can do is choose the lesser of the two evils when it comes to custody and hope that Emmy never sees the side of him. I want Emmy to bond with her father. I have never wanted to keep her from him. I just wanted to ensure that she is safe, which is why I begged Ryle to agree to do day visit for the first couple of years. I never had told him outright it's because I don't know that I fully trust him with her. I think I might have blamed it on my breastfeeding situations and the fact that he on call all the time, but deep down I am sure he knows why I have never wanted her to stay with him overnight. The past abuse is something we don't talk about. We talk about Amy, we talk about work, we plaster on smiles. When we are in the presence of our daughter, sometimes it feels forced and fake, at least on my end. But it is better than this could have been had I taken into to court and lost. I'll fake a smile until she's 18 if it means I don't have to share custody and potentially expose my daughter to the worst part of her dad on a more regular basis. It's been working out okay so far. If you don't count the occasional glass lighting and unwanted flirtation from him, as clear as I have made my feeling during this divorce, he still has hope for us. He says things sometimes that indicates that he hasn't fully let go of the idea of us. I fear that a huge part of Ryle Corporation rests on the notion that he'll eventually win me back if he is good enough for long enough. He has it in his head that I'll soften over time, but life isn't going to happen his way. Ellen, I am ultimately going to move on, and if I am being honest, I hope I end up moving on in Atlas' direction. It's too soon to know if that's possible, but I know for a fact that I'll never move back to Ryle's direction, no matter how much time passes. It's been almost a year since I asked Ryle for the divorce, but it's been almost 19 months since the fight that ultimately caused our separation, which means I've been single for over a year and a half. A year and a half separation between potential relationships seems like plenty of time. Maybe it would be if it were anyone with other than Atlas. But how can I possibly make this work? What if I texted Atlas and he invites me to lunch and then lunch goes wonderful? Which I am sure it would, and lunch leads to dinner, and dinner leads to us falling right back into the step with where we left off when we were younger, and then we're both happy and we'll fall back in love, and he became a permanent part of my life. I know it sounds like I'm getting ahead of myself, but it's Atlas we are talking about here. Unless he had a personality transplant, I think you and I both know how easy Atlas is for me to love, Ellen. That's why I'm hesitant, because I'm scared it will work out. And if it works out, how will Ryle feel about my new relationship? Immersion is almost an year old, and we've gone this whole year without too much drama. But I know that because we found a good flow, that nothing has interrupted. So why does it feel like any mentions of Atlas which causes tsunami? Not that Ryle deserves the concern I currently feeling over this situation, but he has the potential to make my dating life a living hell. Why does Ryle still occupy an entire wall in my many layers of thoughts? That's what it feels like, as if there's wonderful things happen, but as they start to sink in, they eventually reach a part of me that is still making decisions based on Ryle and his potential reactions. His reactions are what I fear that most. I wanted to hope that I wouldn't be jealous, but he will be. If I started dating Atlas, he'll make it difficult for everyone. Even though I know divorce was the right choice, there are still consequences to that choice. And one of those consequences is that Ryle will always look at Atlas like he's the thing that broke up our marriage. Ryle is the father of my daughter, no matter what what comes and goes in my life from the point forward. Ryle is the one constant that I'll always have to appear if I want the most peaceful experience for my daughter. And if Atlas Corrigan is back in my life, Ryle will never be appeased. I wish you could tell me what decision to make. Do I sacrifice what I know will make me happy for the sake of avoiding the inevitable disruptions Atlas presence would cause? Or will I always have an Atlas shaped hole in my heart unless I allow him to fill it? He's expecting me to text him, but I think I need more time to process this. I don't even know what to say to him. I don't know what to do. I'll let you know if I figure it out.